what you call good football.
All right.
Daddy.
What? It is a circle. Let me get this boy some chocolate milk. I'll be right back. But I'm reading 49er News. I will read the article and, give my take on it. Steve Young on Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and Sam Darnold. All Niners quarterbacks. Madden update roster next year, I guess. Give me a second.
Daddy.
Is it what? I'm not sure what you're saying. It is a circle. You know how to draw a square? I see a circle, but do you know how to draw a square? Alright. See if I can get a little bit more light here. What's up, son? Okay. I see it. Alright. I mean, ultimately, the rosters aren't going to show. The rosters aren't going to show up on here except for two of us and two, Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. And they're probably, I didn't check to see what their ratings are. They're probably going to change. Here we go. All right. We got a 72 Brock Purdy, 71 Trey Lance, and this is due to Brock Purdy's rise to stardom, essentially. Let me see if I can turn that music down. Hold on. Let me turn this music down. Have a seat, baby. Alright. So, of course, the great, one of the most beloved quarterbacks of all time, I would say, definitely in 49er fandom history, Steve Young, one of my favorite quarterbacks. I used to think Steve Young was the best quarterback ever for a long time. Definitely until, Peyton Manning comes along. Drew Brees and Tom Brady, they're probably, head and shoulders a better passer, I guess. Better quarterbacks. They were just able to dissect defenses a lot better than Steve Young. But Steve Young is still highly, highly touted. Career shortened, so his numbers would have been way better. And let's see here. So, yeah, we got Trey Lance and Brock Purdy. In my opinion, Trey Lance should be number one, QB1. I think he has more upside than Brock Purdy. But let's get into what Steve Young says first. All right. This is posted by Jack Hammer yesterday. Discussions about the 49ers offseason has revolved around the quarterback position. Last week, Steve Young sat down with Matt Mayako of the 49ers Talk podcast, who better to break down the quarterback controversy than a Hall of Famer who has been through one himself. In case you don't know, Steve Young came in when Joe Montana was on his way out, and the situation was very, very tense. It was definitely controversial. Joe Montana was forced out in a lot of people's eyes. He ended up going to the Chiefs. So how do you get rid of Joe Montana? Because you got Steve Young waiting, and he wasn't a rookie or anything like that. So Steve Young, man, like, he won Super Bowls. You can't argue with success. Sometimes. All right, here's what Steve Young had to say about each of the three quarterbacks. Brock Purdy. We have this incredible, unique human being named Brock Purdy. And I'm not going to limit him. I'm not going to say, oh, he's not bigger, he's not as strong, he's not as fast. I'm just not going to limit him. I think he's just an incredibly unique human made for quarterbacking, and let him cook. That's interesting. I don't know else how to say it. I don't know how else to say it. I don't want to prejudge anything or say he can't or can't do. I think it's possible I think all is possible with Brock. Get up off the floor under your seat. Why are you under your seat? What are you doing? Please stop playing with that cord. But the problem is he tore a ligament. I was talking to Dr. El Atrache, who does a lot of these. We were talking about all of that. He said, first of all, he would have done it differently, but that's just another opinion. One thing for sure, if it stays on track, there's a 6-month period to get it to full strength. The thing that's unusual is he does it for baseball all the time. He's done it 3 or 4 times for football, but not in a car wreck scenario that the way that he described for Brock. So he's not sure. And so he's not sure. That was typed twice for some reason. No one can know exactly how it's going to go. If Brock is ready game 1, it's not going to be 100%. Anyone who says he can rip a pass 6 months later, I don't think it belies reality. Doesn't mean he can't play at 90%. We'll see how it goes. If he's ready, I'm sure they'll play him. There's a processing. I call it the force. The force, it's like a Star Wars analogy. It's something you can't describe. It's just someone has the force. And I think quarterbacking is so much that way. When I see someone who has the force, I don't know how to tell you all the intricacies of what makes that, but you can just tell. Brock had it so thick. We all know Brock's nickname. I'm sorry. It's like Luke Skywalker. Right away, he wasn't the biggest guy. He's not the fast guy. He's not the strongest arm, but he's got the force. Maybe as strong as anyone who's playing. Whoa, Steve. You talk about on top of the culture, the innovative offense, the play calling, and the talent. It all kind of comes together. It's easy to say last pick in the draft, at his size, arm strength, and everything else, there's limitations. When talking about Brock Purdy, I don't think you should speak that way because I think he's the kind of guy who's going to make you look like a dummy. I love that kind of sentiment, honestly. If Steve sees something special in Brock Purdy, I believe him. And last year was special. But, as Steve said, he tore a ligament, and ligaments don't heal. They have to be repaired, and they often change your mechanics. Often.
Trey Lance. First of all, if I'm Trey, I'm not leaving because this is where I'm going to find out how good I can be. I said the same thing to Jimmy G. So to try to stay as long as you can and find ways onto the field and force your way onto the field. Make it your job. Someone has your job, go get it. Go prove that the limitations that we think you have had in the past, that we have had so little data on, that we're guessing anyway. Go put all of those things to rest and say to yourself, I am so much more than you ever thought I was. I think that would be fun. If I were Trey, I would be eager to go do that. Go show everybody. Anyone who says Trey can't, off what? What data? Oh, one game? One play back at North Dakota State? Like, come on, man. Stop. You don't know, and I don't think he knows. But he needs an opportunity to go prove it. I don't know if he's going to get it. If I'm Trey Lance, I'm doing everything I can. And he's doing it right now. That's my job. I'm going to go get it. And I'm going to go create my own narrative about what I can and maybe can't do. Very interesting. He went from saying Brock Purdy can simply, work around all of the limitations that people have placed on him because he has the it factor. And with Trey, he's saying he has to prove the doubters wrong and see what he can and can't do based on, his actual physical ability. Very interesting in my opinion. Sam Darnold. I'm a Sam Darnold fan. My instinct tells me he was able to do something really hard, which is to be dealt a really lousy hand and send up flares that tell me I'm okay, I'm figuring this out. It doesn't look like much right now, but don't leave me behind. So because he was able to do that in New York and in Carolina, the system was just terrible for quarterbacks. I thought he showed me signs, giving me something to work with. Give me some clay and I will make you look great. Do not sleep on Sam Darnold. Sam is as talented as anybody in the league in doing the things that we, the outward things like arm strength, mobility, and all this stuff. Again, he's going to have to show he has the force. I think we have three who are unique, individualized. The Venn diagram doesn't have much intersection. There's Trey, there's Brock trying to get healthy, and then there's Sam trying to figure out how to get on the field. If there's anywhere you'd want them to be, it's right here. If anyone I'd want them to be coached by, it's Kyle, right here. We get to watch it play out. If anyone says, I know what's going to happen, I don't think you could possibly know what's going to happen right now. And those are Steve Young's comments. My thoughts on those comments are they're pretty accurate. I can't say that I agree with everything 100%. Sam Darnold definitely shows a little bit of potential. He was a very, very highly touted draft pick, and as far as a recruit, he was a very high recruit going into USC. He probably does have the tools. It's all about the inner, I'm looking over at the camera to see what my lighting's like. But yeah, it's all about the inner capabilities in terms of Sam Darnold to me. He has that classic quarterback stance, classic quarterback look. And I myself don't like to depend on the classic quarterbacks because our league is getting faster and stronger. And I was a huge Steve Young fan, and Steve Young was not the classic quarterback. He ran. He was a mobile quarterback. That's what I like. So, Steve, I'm very, very shocked that you're not more in on Trey Lance, because Trey Lance fits more of your playing style than anybody else. Sam Darnold, I think, has that capability as well. And then Brock Purdy's not the slowest guy in the world, of course, but we're talking about what they're going to do. Sam is probably not necessarily going to look for the run, where Trey Lance is going to be able to look for that run, possibly break open a 20-yarder, 40-yarder, whatever. Brock, I'm positive they're going to tell him not to run. I'm positive they're going to keep the kid gloves on, or not the kid gloves, but, they're trying to bubble wrap Brock. I'm positive they're not going to take too many risks once he does get to play. And I'm positive that Kyle Shanahan wants Brock Purdy more than he wants Trey Lance. But in my opinion, I think Trey Lance is the best fit for this team because they, as far as the team, they have too much talent all over the field. So if you think about that physically, the defense has to check too many people. And that's probably why we're so successful in terms of play calling, because there's too many guys to keep track of at all times, every single play. Brock Purdy doesn't give that outward threat in terms of that mobility as an unchecked man in terms of the defense. The quarterback's unchecked. He's not covered. So, and with Trey, that's always a possibility of first down, touchdown. With Brock, it does seem like he knows the offense better than Trey Lance. It does seem like he fits the offense better than Trey Lance because this offense is built for Kirk Cousins. It's built for, the more classical quarterback. Even though the draft picks that we've been able to get with Brandon Ayuk, Debo, even Jennings, a lot of these receivers are so athletic that you have to find all these other ways of getting them the ball. Christian McCaffrey's another one, but he's legit. We know about Christian McCaffrey. We know about his dad. We know that this man has the force. So my biggest takeaway from Steve Young's comments is that he really doesn't have any confidence in Trey Lance. And he has a lot of hope for Darnold, and that he really loves Brock Purdy. And how do you not like Brock Purdy? And, why wouldn't you? You got to be a hater not to like that, not to see that underdog story coming from the last man in the draft, coming from a desert high school. Although Arizona high school football is nationally touted, so let's get that out the way. He had to play nationally ranked teams over where he was at, and then he went and had to play Jalen Hurts as a Cyclone. Jalen Hurts over in Oklahoma. So Brock Purdy's legit, but I do see and sense some of that old school conventionalism, if that's what we want to call it right now, at play. We obviously know if we had a Trey Lance and that looked like a Josh Allen in the face, we know if he looked like Josh Allen, we would be trying to get him on the field as much as possible. Everybody can probably, at the back of their head, assume that with Trey Lance, there's other obstacles, and he hasn't seen the field enough. So, there's a stunted growth, and then, hey, we're talking about opportunity here. We're talking about the National Football League. We're talking about the same team that had Colin Kaepernick. Got rid of Colin Kaepernick and drafted Trey Lance. That doesn't really sound like a cohesive quarterback selection process. Doesn't sound like they are decisive in what they want in terms of a quarterback. And this has been 3-4 years where we didn't know if Jimmy G was going to be the starter. We didn't know if he was good enough to be the starter. Once we found out he was good enough to be the starter, they drafted Trey Lance because he was hurt, and we wouldn't be able to really survive with just a Jimmy G and Josh Johnson or something like that. But then again, Jimmy G has his limitations and ceiling. So what Steve Young says was correct in the sense that we got a lot out of Jimmy. He did show what he can be, but ultimately, you know, without him, we probably would have grown a lot faster at the quarterback position because Jimmy G held us back at the quarterback position. It's very possible that any one of those other guys, Sam Darnold, Kirk Cousins, you know, it's possible that one of those guys could have got us over the hump when it comes down to what's in your head, execution at the critical moments. Jimmy G just doesn't have that execution at the critical moments. I think it takes a lot of experience to have that, personally. You know, Tom Brady, he didn't have instant success like Brock Purdy did. You know, Tom Brady had to go through the lumps, not for years or anything, but he had a rude awakening immediately into the NFL, and he also had Bill Belichick and, you know, the vaunted defense that the Patriots were building. So it's a very similar situation where nobody could have guessed that Tom Brady would have got that good, but he got that good because of a successful organization around him. They weren't that successful before him, but they were decent enough, and ultimately he got the opportunity. He has the image, so part of that plays into giving him that opportunity. And in my opinion, the Patriots cheated their way to a few championships, so, you know, he got a lot more credit as well. Trey Lance deserves an opportunity. I don't think anybody should argue that. I don't know how anybody has, you know, decided their conclusion on Trey Lance. But that was my analysis on Steve Young's take, and I hope everybody enjoyed it. I'll probably hop on a little later. My son's calling my name. I will catch you guys on the flip side.